In 1997, a team of New Zealand conservationists landed on a tiny rock in the Southern Ocean, searching for a rare duck. They did not find the duck. Instead, they found a bird that, according to every record, should not exist. It was a snipe, a small wading bird and with a long beak. It had been extinct on the main island for over 160 years. Scientists realized something incredible. This bird had survived on a rock so small and so hostile that humans had only set foot there twice in history. And now they had a choice. Try to save it through captive breeding, which would take decades and might fail. Or do something nobody had ever attempted. Kill every single rat on an island the size of Manhattan. They chose the rats. Campbell Island sits 700 kilometers south of New Zealand. That is roughly halfway to Antarctica. The place is brutal. Winds regularly hit 240 kilometers per hour. The island gets hammered by storms rolling across the Southern Ocean, with nothing to slow them down. It is cold, it is wet, and it is covered in plants you will not find anywhere else on Earth. They are called megaherbs, giant flowering plants with leaves the size of dinner plates. They look almost prehistoric. And for most of history, the island was packed with birds. Millions of seabirds, albatrosses, petrels, and shearwaters. There were also smaller land birds, including snipe, a tiny flightless duck called the Campbell Island teal, pipits, and parakeets. All of these species lived in an ecosystem that had evolved without mammals for millions of years. Then in 1828, a sealing ship called the Perseverance wrecked somewhere off the coast. The crew made it out. The rats did too. Norway rats are survivors. They can swim, they can eat basically anything. And on an island full of ground-nesting birds that had never seen a predator, it was a massacre. When the first naturalists landed on Campbell in 1840, just 12 years after the shipwreck, they wrote about how strange it was. No land birds, none. They compared it to the Auckland Islands, which they had just visited, where birds were everywhere. On Campbell, silence. They did not know about the rats. Nobody did at first. The rats had already won. For the next 160 years, people assumed the birds were just gone. Extinct. Done. Except they weren't. Not quite. Jacquemart Island is a chunk of rock about 19 hectares in size. It's basically a vertical cliff with some grass on top. Landing there is dangerous. The weather is terrible. The seas are rough. Between 1980 and 1997, humans managed to land there exactly twice. Both times, they barely stayed long enough to look around. Rats never made it to Jacquemart. It was too far from Campbell and too hard to reach. So when a team showed up in 1997 with trained bird-locating dogs, searching for any surviving Campbell Island teal, they found something nobody expected. Snipe. Tiny birds. Maybe 50 of them, possibly 60. That's it. The entire species. This wasn't just rare. This was one of the most endangered birds on the planet, and nobody had known it existed until that moment. The last time a completely new bird species was discovered in New Zealand, 1897, 100 years earlier. Scientists named it Coenocorypha aucklandica perseverance. Perseverance was the last part, a tribute to the ship that brought the rats. Dark irony. So now they had a problem. 50 birds on a rock that could barely support them. If a single storm hit wrong, if disease broke out, if anything went sideways, the species was finished. The solution seemed obvious. Capture some birds, breed them in captivity, build up numbers slowly. Maybe in 10 or 20 years, if Campbell Island could somehow be cleared of rats, reintroduce them. But clearing Campbell of rats? That seemed impossible. The island is 11,300 hectares. For context, that's about 6 times larger than any island where rats had ever been successfully eradicated. And Campbell didn't just have rats. It had the highest density of Norway rats ever recorded anywhere on Earth. 200,000 rats. In winter, when populations dropped, there were still 50,000. The terrain was insane. Steep hills, dense vegetation, cliffs. The weather gave you maybe a handful of good flying days per year. And the rats? They had been there for 170 years. They had adapted. They cached food underground. If one rat died, another would eat from its stash. Poison would not work the same way it did on other islands. Everyone said it couldn't be done. The New Zealand Department of Conservation said they would do it anyway. 2001, winter. They brought in 4 helicopters, 19 people, and 120 tons of poison bait. The bait was brotifacum, an anticoagulant. It was dyed green so birds would not eat it. It was dropped from helicopters using GPS guidance to make sure every square meter got covered. The cost? $2.6 million. They had one shot. If you miss even a small area, rats survive and breed back. And the island was so remote that getting helicopters there meant refueling twice. Once at Stewart Island, and again at Enderby in the Auckland Islands. Then flights went into some of the worst weather on the planet. The team worked through July, in winter darkness, when the days are short and the wind never stops. They needed 4 straight days of decent weather to spread all the bait. If the wind forced a break, they would have to overlap areas and use even more poison. They pulled it off. Then came the waiting. You cannot just check if rats are gone. You have to wait, monitor, set traps, look for tracks, droppings, any sign of survivors. It took 2 years. In May 2003, Campbell Island was officially declared rat-free. The team started planning for the snipe reintroduction. Capture birds from Jackmart, breed them, and maybe start releasing them in 5 or 10 years. Except in 2003, someone found footprints. Small bird tracks in the mud near a lake on Campbell. They sketched them carefully and radioed a snipe expert. The expert confirmed it. The snipe were already back. Nobody brought them. They flew on their own across 1 kilometer of open ocean from Jackmart Island to Campbell in winds that routinely hit 240 kilometers per hour. By March 2005, they had found a snipe chick on Campbell. Proof the birds were not just visiting. They were breeding. In January 2006, a team with a trained bird locating dog went looking for snipe. They expected to find maybe a couple, but they found 30 adults, chicks, and nests. The population was exploding. The birds just came home after 160 years. They were home. They were not alone. The Campbell Island pipit, another land bird that had survived on offshore rocks, started showing up. They flew back too, so no reintroduction was needed. The Campbell Island teal was a different story. They are flightless. They could not just fly back. So from 1994 to 2004, conservationists bred them in captivity. Then between 2004 and 2006, they released 159 teal back onto Campbell. Today, they are thriving. And it's not just birds. The whole ecosystem came back. Weta, these giant insects that look like armor-plated crickets, exploded in population. Megaherbs that had been clinging to cliff faces where rats could not reach them spread back across the island. The giant herb fields came back. The island turned green again. 6 species of albatross breed on Campbell, including the southern royal albatross, the largest albatross in the world. They are nesting successfully, and their chicks are not being eaten. White-chinned petrels and gray-backed storm petrels, species never recorded breeding on Campbell before, started nesting there for the first time. The island went from a rat-infested wasteland to the largest predator-free island in New Zealand. Campbell Island became proof that you can bring ecosystems back, not just save individual species, but restore entire networks of life that had been destroyed. New Zealand has since used the techniques developed on Campbell to clear rats from even larger islands. The methods worked. Other countries started copying them. Rat eradications are happening on islands around the world now, using the template Campbell established. What makes Campbell different is what happened after the rats were gone, the speed of it, and the naturalness of it. The snipe were supposed to need years of careful captive breeding, scientific management, and reintroduction planning. Instead, they simply flew home. As soon as the island was safe, they came back. The same happened with the pipits, the insects, the plants, everything that had survived on those tiny offshore rocks. Nature did not wait for permission. It did not need a plan. The rats disappeared, and life rushed back in to fill the space they had left empty. Today, Jacquemart Island still has its snipe population. Campbell has hundreds now, maybe thousands. They have spread across the entire island. They are not critically endangered anymore. The teal are back. The pipits are back. The megaherbs are back. The albatrosses are safe. And the ecosystem that was shattered in 1828 is rebuilding itself, all because a group of people looked at an impossible task and decided the birds were worth it. If you found this story about nature's resilience fascinating, please subscribe for more incredible conservation victories from around the world.